Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we are going to have some fun playing and cleaning up the shade garden behind me. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in North Carolina. We are going to hit close to 70. The birds are singing. Thankfully, we have a little bit of cloud cover, so it won't get too hot. But I am excited to get into this flower bed and put it to bed for the winter and get it ready for spring. Now that here we are, in February, we're just now getting around to it. But that's all right. Grace and gardening, we're going to get it done. So what are we going to do exactly in this flower bed? Well, first, we are going to edge it. I've got the edger behind me. I am going to run the edger for the first time today. We've had to put this off, and I joke about saying it's February and we're finally putting it to bed for the winter, but we really did have to wait until it finally stopped raining for a couple of days and things dried up, because this does in the wintertime stay really wet. And if we had tried to edge this anytime before now, it would have made a hot honking mess. And so now is the time to do it. It's actually going to rain tomorrow afternoon, so we're going to strike while the iron is hot. I am going to put a nice hard edge on the bed using the bed edger. We are then going to come on my white by the gate camellia that is behind me. I got a beautiful wrought iron trellis, so we are going to unpackage that, put it together, and put it behind the camellia. And then we are finally going to come in through here, do a little bit of weeding, because yes, there are some weeds in here. We need to take care of that. And then do a nice little top layer of our compost pine bark mulch blend that we use. So when we get done, this bed is going to look so nice, so neat and tidy. So just hang on. We're going to have a lot of fun together working out here on this gorgeous, very spring-like day in the shade garden. Well, how about them apples? I tell you what, that was my first edging job. Wasn't bad, I will say, because I've had people ask before, because Jerry's always done the edging. And so we've had some viewers, ladies, ask how hard it is to do. I will say, and this is really kind of damp soil, there is a lot of resistance, but you're pulling, you don't really have to do a ton of work other than you're just pulling it. I could see though for a long distance, it would kind of wear you out, but it looks super nice. So now what we're going to do is I get my hard rake and I will pull this extra soil that's piled up and I'll bring it back into the flower bed. And of course, any of the weeds or the grass that got cut, I will go ahead and pull that out. We did have a lot of, because we have fescue grass, people ask why our grass is so green. Fescue is a cool weather grass. In North Carolina, we can either do fescue or we can do hot weather grass, Bermuda, Georgia, that kind of stuff. We choose to do fescue because we like having it green in the wintertime. So this fall, when we plugged and aerated and seeded, of course, some of that little extra seed went into the flower bed. So that's why there was a lot of grass in the flower bed, is because of the seeding process in the fall. Perfect time to clean it up. You can still see some of it's back there. So we'll scrape this out back into the flower bed, get it nice and cleaned up, get that extra grass out, the weeds out, and then the fun thing is we're going to do the trellis, get the trellis out, put it together, and go ahead and put it on that white by the gate camellia. All right, so we're coming back and tamping. I was trying to do it with the rake, and it wasn't so damp that it's actually picking up the soil on the back. And then my main man here went ahead and got the shovel, and it's doing a better job of tamping it down. That one, when we come back in here, because it's so fluffy and aerated from the edger, that way it won't just like slide back down. So we're just tamping it down and getting it nice and firm in there. So while he finishes that out for like being a sweet boy that he is for his mama, see, even that, it's really wet right here because this is where the water would really just kind of hang out. And see on the back of this shovel, it's just sticking. So if you don't have red clay soil or clay soil like we do, maybe you're not familiar with the joys of wet clay soil. Fun times. All right, so he's gonna finish that, and I'm gonna grab the trellis. It's a humdinger of a trellis, and it is heavy. So I'm gonna bring Johnny up here, and we can get it unloaded and start putting it together. So we've got the trellis together, really easy. Of course, you just have to unpack it. But this is the exact same trellis that my mom has on her white by the gate. And you know, if it's good enough for mama, it's good enough for me. And I loved hers. She actually both got it off of Etsy, and this is from H Potter. So you can either go to Etsy, I think they have hpotter.com, and so they have all sorts of fun like yard, garden, different type of art, decorations, supports, those kinds of things. Really nice and heavy and duty and sturdy. So this is not a flimsy trellis by any means. Pretty simple and straightforward as far as it going in the ground. This guy is going to be pounded into the ground, make sure it's nice and level. Then the trellis sits on top of here. We have bolts that we will bolt it into on that. Then we have some additional 2 more spikes that Jackson walked off with. Then they will get pounded down into the side. And then we will use some black heavy duty zip ties to just give it some extra support down there at the bottom. But it sounds pretty straightforward. I think like I said, all the hardware is included. So we're just gonna get this set up. I will go ahead and obviously take off the wooden trellis that came with the camellia, so that's going to come off, and then we'll start getting all this assembled. So my fellas and I got the trellis installed, and now I am going ahead and using my beloved hollow rubber tubing to go ahead and attach the camellia to the trellis. Now, there we go. I'm not going to do it super tight, but just enough that it's on there. Camellias, of course, are not traditionally climbers, and so at all. So this is a fun, different take on a camellia. I would probably never be able to have a white by the gate camellia here in this spot just because it would get way too big. But by having it in this fashion, it allows me to give some great vertical height to this space, because this wall is massive. It's a 2-story wall, and it needs some structure on here for sure. So by doing this beautiful camellia it gives me some evergreen structure, and then of course having the trellis is just a whole nother architectural element to it. I do love having this trellis here, especially being the wrought iron, because I have the 2 hay racks on the windows that are black wrought iron. So all of this ties in together quite nicely. Now, white by the gate, I don't have the specs memorized, but it is a japonica because it has those big, huge, fat leaves on it. So that means that it is going to be a late winter, early spring bloomer. This sweet thing was absolutely covered in buds. I mean, just covered. And then with the Arctic blast, even though I did a double layer of burlap on it, that wind just cut through, and I have lost a lot of buds from that. And I really think it is because of that cold, dry wind that came through here. I do have a couple of buds that look very promising, so I really hope I get a couple of flowers this year, because this white by the gate, oh my gosh, it is about probably one of the prettiest camellias I have ever seen. Massive, double white, pure white blooms on it. Just the most elegant, classic, beautiful camellia flower you have ever seen. So I really hope that I get a couple of them, that I can enjoy them for this season. Camellias, of course, are traditionally quite slow growers. And so that's why when we were doing this, we wanted to be very careful, because you don't want to snap your camellia. They're not a fast grower. So if you lose a limb, it's going to take a hot minute to get that limb to grow back. So we're just going to come in here and just gently tie this up. There are some leaves in here, like I said, that were damaged from all that dry wind. But I do see new little growth popping out, and so that is very promising. So she's all nice and attached, and next we're going to come in here and just mulch this. It's kind of like the lipstick or the earrings on the outfit. It just cleans it up, finishes it up, and then this bed will be done for today. All right, my sweet friends, the project is complete, and I feel like I have a new flower bed. It is fantastic. We got it edged, we got the trellis installed, we got it weeded, we got it mulched. It feels good when we pull up to the because our driveway, of course, is just right here, right? And kitchen windows, right? So we see this spot all the time. I love the interest that this trellis gives, because I already have that, you know, the 3 hay racks, really like 2 window boxes, right? And there's that one that's on the garage wall. And to have this, it really fills in this space, so I'm super excited about it. And now we just sit back and wait. I know it feels like spring today, but I also have lived in North Carolina for 45 years, and I know that this is a false spring. We are definitely going to have some frigid temperatures. Heck, we could even have snow at this point. That's just North Carolina for you. But it definitely does give me a taste for spring, and wants, you know, all those wonderful things of spring to be happening. Lenten roses are doing great. My hydrangeas are budding out. Like, I have got green growth on them. My holly fern, you may have noticed, is looking rough. I have learned with that holly fern to not cut it back until that last frost date, because I get so excited like right now and I go ahead and cut it, and then that new growth is bare and we'll get a hard freeze and it kills that new growth. So even though it looks a little ratty right now, I am going to leave all that so that it protects any new growth that is in there. But yeah, so basically I'll come back through in the end of this month, 1st of March, and we'll do a nice little application of plant tone for all the perennials. My hydrangeas will get some rose tone. Miss Camellia here will get some holly tone. Nice, great fertilizer for all the plants, but right before we go into the growing season. But it feels great. I feel very accomplished having this done. Makes me happy. And now it's about 3:30 in the afternoon. So that means Jerry and I are going to go have our afternoon cup of coffee. And because it is like 70 degrees out here, we are going to be on the front porch. This will be our first front porch coffee session for the year of 2023. So we're very excited about that. Brennan will be happy to be outside as well. So anyway, get out there, do something, enjoy it. Find some fun little architectural pieces to add to your garden. It really does make a difference, and it's functional because it holds the camellia, but it also brings a whole different level of interest to your garden. So go on Etsy, have fun, or garden supply companies, or wherever, your local potters. That's where I got my little mushrooms from. Just get out there and have fun, folks. As always, thanks for gardening Creekside. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.